Hello, you're watching News9 Live. It's 5 o'clock and every weekday at 5 o'clock we meet and to focus on stories from the south of India. Today's story is coming from Karnataka. Let's begin. The Lashkar-e-Taiba let is back in the news and is supposedly behind the arrest of 5 terrorists suspected for allegedly planning explosions across Bengaluru. They were arrested by the Central Crime Branch or the CCB. The 5 were identified as Syed Sohail Khan, Muhammad Omar, Zahid Tabrij, Syed Mudassir Pasha and Muhammad Fasil. These are the 5 who have been arrested. However, there is one more suspect and supposedly the main one whose name is Junaid, who is now absconding. The arrested men, of course, are all of them in their 20s and they were nabbed from the home of one of them after the Karnataka State Intelligence Division alerted the CCB about their suspicious activities. Several neighbors and relatives said that they actually showed no signs of any suspicious activities, as it were, and said, and let me quote, "We used to have small talks with the ladies in the house and it seemed like any other poor family struggling to make ends meet. In fact, they told me that they were struggling to even buy groceries." Close quote. Yet another quote by neighbors which is coming in. Quote open. "They only paid rupees 5,000 as advance. They requested that I give them some time to pay the remaining advance of 45,000 rupees since the child was sick and treatment costs were high." Obviously, this quote is coming from the landlord or the house owner where these men were staying. Yet another quote, "Ladies and gentlemen, I was told that Sohail was a painter. He used to stay at home many times and not many people visited them. There was no room for suspicion." Close quote. So these are the quotes. So it's very, very clear, and there is more, of course. But let me also add that it seemed like they were all normal, perhaps poor, economically backward, as it were, because they were not buying regular groceries, etc. Yet another quote, "I assumed that they were out of town. I realized that there was something wrong only when the police landed at their doorstep." So these are the quotes. So you see that they look like your regular guys. I mean, there was nothing where you could stand up and say, "Oh my God, they look like they are involved in something which is out of the ordinary." Those 5 men on your screen right now who have been arrested and sent to 15 days custody. These are men who are in their early to late 20s. No one is above, I think, 30 years old. Of course, Junaid, the main one, apparently, allegedly, as told by the police, is now absconding. Now, like I said, they are in 15 days custody and apparently they have confessed to their crime. Let's listen into what the police had to say about the case.
Further update on the yesterday's terror-related case. We have found special teams to investigate this case in all the angles. Yesterday we have produced all the arrested 5 accused before the magistrate and we have taken them for 7 days custody. During custodial questioning, one of the accused revealed about suspicious packet kept in his house. In this connection, the investigating officer and the team, along with BDDS and FSL experts, they went to the place and they have successfully recovered 4 live hand grenades from one of the accused. The investigation is being continued.
Now let's look at the crime web of this entire incident, as it were. Junaid, the man whose absconding, was arrested in 2017 for a murder he had committed in RT Nagar along with 21 others. Junaid was again arrested in 2020 along with his parents in the Sandalwood case. A case was registered against Junaid in 2021 under sections 399 and 402, which is preparation and assembling to commit dacoity. But he had absconded before his arrest. This person, Junaid, apparently went abroad and then contacted the accused and conspired to launch terror-related activities in the city by supporting them with money and weapons. Now, what is most intriguing is that this Junaid allegedly radicalized, by a 2008 Bengaluru blast convict T Nasir while they were in jail together in 2017. And he was apparently influenced so much by Nasir, who was supposedly, allegedly a member of Lashkar-e-Taiba or LET, and hence the let angle to the entire story. Now the thing is that there has been a lot of up and down, to and fro, slugfest over politicians about this entire thing, because the BJP is questioning the ruling Congress why the case has not been handed over to the NA, and the Congress is defending itself. Listen to some of the voices here.
Bengaluru is a fast-growing economy and pride of our country. Therefore, terrorists they have made this as a target to upset, destroy the economy and peace in this Bangalore. CCP has done a good job, but however, it is not enough. This has got a very deep conspiracy. You have to go behind that. I think this is a fit case to be handed over to NIA, and they should go into the depth of it. And the general law and order situation in Bangalore, in the state, and regarding crime, control of crime, this government has really utterly failed. Law and order, in controlling law and order, they have failed. They are clueless. Everywhere it is happening, everywhere in the state. The senior officers of police have really become clueless, and there is no perfect directions by them. And most of them are still involved in getting their postings done, transfers done. They are busy in their transfers. Therefore, there is nobody to take care of law and order and control of crime. Hence, I urge that government should act immediately and take this as seriously, and see that many more such cells are there. Not only sleeping cells, active cells are also there. They should be brought to book and see that they are punished with the heavy punishment. They should be controlled. During our time, we had arrested more than 30 such terrorists, and more than 15 such terrorists were sent to Tihar jail, and we handed the case to NIA also. So I think now, because of very loose law and order, such elements, anti-social elements are raising head, and it's a job of the government to control them.
Handle any investigation of any kind, and if at all the investigation needs national help or has international connections, then we will see about seeking center's help. But as of now, we have an efficient policing system here. We have mechanisms to deal with terrorism here. We will do that. Why is BJP always in a hurry? They don't trust the same very officers that they had a month back.
There are several questions, of course, which emerge out of this story, and we shall look at all the aspects, at least try, look at them one by one. It is now the guest whom I have to invite on the show. There is, of course, Vijay Prasad, who is the spokesperson for the BJP, and Namaskara, Mahesh Chitnis, who is editor TV9, my colleague, S.T. Ramesh, former DGP Karnataka. Hello sir, thanks so much for joining us on the show, and Yashovardhan Azad, former special director, who's also joining us. I want to start with my colleague Mahesh, because they have been filing, the latest updates have been coming, because apparently they had, Mahesh, ready to use grenades and all, so apart from everything else, because one reads all the stories filed by you and everyone else. So I want you to first, lay the land, as it were, take the viewers through what happened and how did it unfold and where has it reached today.
It started a couple of weeks before when the state intelligence got a hook of it. Some suspicion activity was going on, and immediately alerted the CCB. So CCB police swung into action and started keeping eye on the 5 accused, and few more people were there. But these are the main people as of now. Police have said that there will be more arrests in the coming next few days, and still the monitoring is going on. So after keeping an eye on these people, finally they zeroed on in Sultan Palya when all the five people were there in the single house, and finally arrested them. One thing that is very important to note here is the accused had seven country-made guns with 45 live ammunitions, but police had managed to arrest them without making any noise in the area. And the incident came to light when the police, revealed about it on next day, that is on Wednesday morning. So CCB police have done a brilliant job here, and it's commendable, and there is no doubt about it. Secondly, one thing that has to be noted here is all these five arrested men are team of Junaid, the prime suspect who is currently absconding abroad. Is said to be in the Middle Eastern countries, according to the police sources. So he was the one who activated this terror model, according to the police commissioner B. Dayananda, and then he, influenced these men to carry out some kind of attacks by keeping explosives and live bullets. The police now are tracking the people who have delivered these weapons and ammunitions to these five people. As you mentioned, Sudha, all these five were radicalized by one of the prime suspects of 2008 Bengaluru serial blast case, T Nasir, who has been convicted in several cases, including in Kerala, who was arrested from Bangladesh border by the BSF. So he is currently jailed in Parapanagra, it's the central jail, and the police are now in the process of taking his body warrant to question him further in the case. Today, Joint Commissioner of Police (CCB) Sharanappa has revealed furthermore, dangerous thing that one accused number 5, Tabrez, Jahid Tabrez, had kept 4 live grenades in an Almira at his house.
Right.
And it was ready to use grenades. I think in the history, in the past 2 to 3 decades, Karnataka police has never seized a live grenades in the state. So now they are, in the process of tracking how these grenades were, delivered to these guys and who are involved in it. In Karnataka, police have detained, they're questioning several people in this connection, and I think in the next few days there will be more arrests. The police are also interested in tracking how the funding was done. Police commissioner has already clarified that the funding was partially done to these accused through Google Pay, Paytm, and Phone Pay. So now they are tracking how the whole network worked, and in the next few days there will be more clarity on it.
All right, Mr. Ramesh, I want to go to you next. I mean, if you look at it, I know that it's not so simple, policing, and particularly you have enough experience. But some people have actually raised doubts that 5 or 6 people living in a single house, and like my colleague Mahesh just now said, weapons, have been seized from their home. It seems like they just sauntered in and out. It seems like it was done with much ease, or are people who are thinking this way absolutely wrong, Mr. Ramesh? Because it seems like a very well-oiled, very well-orchestrated operation, as it were.
Yeah, thank you, Sudha. Let me first, before answering your question, congratulate the Bangalore City Police and particularly the Commissioner, Mr. Dayanand, for this wonderful, absolutely marvelous piece of work they've done. It has been very proactive policing. They've not been reactive. They've been absolutely proactive, and they were one step ahead of these guys who are planning all kinds of things. Now, coming to your point, Sudha, it may look very easy. The police have been keeping a watch on this house. They have been tracking them. These guys have been under surveillance. So they didn't give them a clue. They didn't give them a inkling that police is after them, and they caught them unawares. That's a good piece of work, and we should appreciate that. But then there are the nature of the crime, the nature of the conspiracy is such that they assemble, they try and do these things. They occupy houses in inhabited areas, and start their nefarious activities. So there is nothing to be there. It's a very unfortunate that such activities have been found in Bangalore. But the fact remains that there is global activity, there are terrorist activities, and Bangalore city is a target for many people for very various reasons that Mohit he mentioned and he explained. So I would focus on the good piece of work that police have done by preempting what could have been a major tragedy.
Right. So, Yashovardhan Azad, Vijay, I'll just come to you in a second because, let me just, these are all policemen and I guess they really don't want to be involved in politics. So, I'll talk about politics in a bit. Yashovardhan Azad, when you look at the south of India, I mean, I'm not comparing, but south of India, we've read several reports about how vulnerable Kerala is. These are old reports and I'm not going by what has been published lately. But also Karnataka, Tamil Nadu, one or two cases in Andhra, Telangana, but Karnataka and Kerala, they have been in the news for several reasons and particularly PFI and other things. Do you think, but there is also a perception that as a country, as a nation, we've been able to curb what was very, very common in the 90s, Do you think that Karnataka is still extremely vulnerable to terror attacks after reading and hearing and perhaps analyzing this particular incident? 5 men, 1 absconding, radicalized in a prison by a man who has LET connections, then funding very so easily by digital, making digital payments. They have ready to use grenades. What do you make of this, Mr. Jha?
Well, there are a couple of things in this case which point to a very, very sinister design, and also points out to the extremely dangerous character of this entire setup. Now, lead modules have been in the country, not only in Bangalore or Karnataka and Kerala, but in all parts of the country. In the Hindi heartland also, there have been serious issues with lead activities. But yes, if you talk about radicalization, you would appreciate that during the ISIS regime, there were a number of youth which had gone from Kerala. And during their interrogation, it was revealed that how a very sophisticated kind of a propaganda on the internet was luring them. And some of them came back, some of them died, and some of them were completely disillusioned, and they came back into the manifold. We are lucky in India that not many have gone over to the ISIS, not many have fallen prey to the lead propaganda or others. This itself reveals that this homemade style of making bombs or trying to, assemble weapons and things like that, they have learned from the internet. Some of them are very, very internet savvy. And mind you, one of the biggest centers for radicalization is turning out to be jails. That the police is looking into various areas. Jail is a very, very important area where they need to look at. Now, the important thing in this case is also that all of them have been previous convicts, doing something or the other. But it will be very, very important to know what would have been their targets. That is extremely important from the terrorist point of view. And mind you, this is a terror plot. And this comes under the scheduled offenses under the NIA Act. So the center is authorized to take it over. Now, whether they should take it over or not, it's a separate debate. And when you ask this question, I'll answer it.
Right. Vijay Prasad, political slugfest is on, of course. The one thing which, of course, Mr. Ramesh and Yashovardhan Jha, both of them have appreciated the work that the police has done. Kudos, of course. But even all the politicians, I think, came together as Kannadigas, as someone, as people of Karnataka. But the political slugfest began soon thereafter. Isn't it right that the BJP is now demanding and very strongly for a probe by the National Investigation Agency. I would like you to please tell the viewers as to what is the reason. That is it because of the LET angle? Because what are you looking at? Why?
Thanks for that. So first, let us try to understand from the Karnataka and the Bangalore angle. See, Karnataka, Bangalore in particular, is known for incubating startups and unicorns. Today, Karnataka is getting turned into incubating terror sleeper cells. And jails, which are the place for the reforms, is being used as the training cells to carry out terror activities. From inside the jail, planning is happening inside the jail. Karnataka is a peaceful state. I totally agree with Yashovardhan Azar when he said jails are the places where to be, where the police has to check. See, I was in the last couple of days, I am going through the data and I have been collecting the data. I don't want to talk without the data on my hand. See, so far from 1970 to 2023, okay, initially in the beginning of 1970, terror was not heard at all. Between 1982 to 1992, the first 10 decades, suddenly the terror activities rose almost around 17%. There was a dip between 1993 and 2003. And suddenly, between 2004 and 2014...
What's your point, Vijay?
No, I'm trying to come how the terrorist activities has been gradually building up in India during various regimes. So, especially I want to concentrate between 2004 and 2014, where the terrorist activities increased around almost 41%.
The UP regime.
41%.
No, I get your point. Yeah, it's very sad, Vijay.
Okay, and then one more thing is when our BJP MP Tejasvi Surya, after 2020's DJ Halli incident, and he went to Home Minister and asked for NIA office to be set up in Bangalore. The same Congress leaders, they started jumping on him and they started saying, okay, Tejasvi Surya is...
Right. So, but today you want NIA, you want an investigation by the NIA?
No, but today the same thing, because today the who are plotting terror activities against the state.
Yeah, you have a point. You have a point. So let me go to Mahesh Chitnis. Mahesh, he says that, you know, how come that what's right for you is wrong for me and vice versa? Because Vijay, I asked you a straight question. Do you guys want an NI investigation? Let's not get back into ancient history. You want it, right? Okay. So Mahesh, what is their explanation? Yeah, go on.
Sudha, I strongly believe that it is a classic case of this one to be handed out to NIA for the simple reason because NIA is more equipped, it is more sophisticated, they have more sophisticated tools and techniques, and the investigation will go beyond the borders.
Thank you. I got it. I got your point. Mahesh, tell me, how serious is this slugfest now? I mean, between the BJP and the Congress, because, you know, between everything that's brewing in the country, there is Manipur, of course, one of the most shameful acts today. As a woman, I can say this, you know, I want to really hang my head in shame after those videos which have surfaced. But then that's happening. Then, of course, the opposition unity happened. But in all this, all I see on local channels is that, you know, NIA, and they are saying, no, we don't want it, you know, Priyank Kharge. So what exactly, why is it that they think that the Congress regime, I mean, must be the obvious thing, is completely incompetent to deal with it, Mahesh?
So they just played a bite of former Chief Minister Basavaraj Bommai. So he mentions in that there are several sleeper cells. He was the former Chief Minister, mind you. So when he speaks such a tone, he must be having some knowledge about that. So why didn't the police take any action when their government was in power? Secondly, one former police commissioner who is recently joined BJP, Bhaskar Rao, pointed out that clipping of a newspaper in which the now Home Minister G. Parmeshwara said that can't call them terrorists yet. Saying that such soft statements against terrorists emboldens them, and why did you book UAPA against these terrorists? So these are the political slugfests that are going on.
Right.
And it is being the case when Congress was in power, even they used to demand for CBI probe or NIA probe whenever such incidents happen. And I think Bommai's statements gains a lot of importance here. What exactly he means by saying there are several sleepers.
Right. Let me go to Mr. Ramesh. Mr. Ramesh, why is it one of the questions which comes to my mind, and which is PFI, which has been banned, but apparently what my colleague Mahesh just said, that what Baswaraj Bommai said, that the sleeper cells are still operative, in Karnataka. Apparently the PFI is also one of those. It is subaltern, and apparently they are, compared to Kerala and Tamil Nadu, these people have been, recruiting people with great swiftness and great energy. Do you think that is one thing? I mean, what can the intelligence, the state intelligence do about it? And also, of course, policing, where does that come into it?
Well, I don't know the source of Mr. Bommai's information. As a former chief minister, maybe he has some information, and I don't have much to say about it. But as far as this, yesterday the police, after some amount of surveillance, some amount of watching, some amount of gathering of intelligence, very precisely landed on this house and picked up these 5 people. It is a very neat and clean operation.
Yeah.
Let's give them some time. They've also been given 14 days police custody.
Right.
Let them take. Let the initial stages of interrogation is in progress. Let them come to a decision whether it should be handed over to a NIA or otherwise. And there is a case for handing over terrorist cases to NIA. It can be decided in due course, and we don't have to jump the gun. And we have to see whether any of those sleeper cells are they indulging in covert activities, whether they are indulging in covert activities, and then it may be you have to keep a watch on them. So if there are sleeper cells, we don't know. The police is after. There is a system of intelligence without which this yesterday's raid and successful apprehension wouldn't have happened. So the police are aware of this, and I presume police are aware of this, and they are keeping a watch, and they appropriate. There's a right time. They have a strategy.
But which means that, Mr. Ramesh, what you're saying is that Karnataka is still vulnerable. I mean, I'm not judging Karnataka, but after what happened, of course, the police did a brilliant job, as you say, very, very swift, very smart, very clean, very nice. But the point is that Karnataka is vulnerable, isn't it? I mean, that's what, should we go with that message? Because like you policemen always say that we are always alert. There is never a day when we are relaxing and saying all is good. It's not, because we have to be on our feet 24/7.
I would be lying if I say that Karnataka is not vulnerable.
All right.
As any other state in the country.
Right. Yeah.
I can't comment much about other states, but in any state, such acts can happen because these activities can happen anywhere. It's just that it has happened in Bengaluru in the past. There was the Indian Institute of Science shootout in the early 2000s. The 2008 serial blast happened. There is a history. They, for some reason, chose Bangalore. It may be vulnerable because of its importance as an IT center, because it's in it's in the news across the world.
Absolutely. So it's showcased as the Silicon Valley of India, and no wonder. Mr. Jha, I want to come to you, and now a bit of policing, as it were. Junaid is arrested in 2017 for a murder. He was again arrested in 2020. Apparently, his parents were also arrested. A case was registered, against him in 2021 under sections 399 and 402. But he apparently absconded just before his arrest. I mean, he went abroad. I mean, if you read all this to someone who's a layperson, it seems like implausible, because you are accused of something, but you're going abroad. I mean, we all know how going abroad can be tough, but also easy for some people if you have, if you understand what sleight of hand is. But but also his first crime was murder, and then he seems to have met T Nasir. Do you think that this so-called sequence of events adds up somewhere?
Yes, as a policeman, we know this, that the criminals, once they are convicted, and they go to jail, in the jail, there are too many conspiracies. Most of the extortions are being done from jail. Most of the conspiracies are being planned from there. And in that period, there is a good amount of radicalization, and there is a good amount of learning and training and education for them too. And therefore, they come up with new ideas. And it's something which the jail authorities need to look at in country very, very seriously. Number two, I would say that you were talking about the IFF. IFF is still a danger signal in Karnataka. Some sting operation which had taken place, some time back, I vaguely remember, in which it had clearly come out that the IPF cadres, of course, it is banned, it's sort of dissolved itself, they say.
PFI,
but the PFI, through the SDPI, through the other organizations, they are creating a different kind of radicalization amongst the people. So the police job is tough. And in that respect, that's why I congratulate them that they've done a great job. But the third point which I want to say, Sudha, I agree with Mr. Vijay Kumar on one respect, that, any kind of terror plot, terror activity, I think should be done by NIA, because NIA does it uniformly. Once it takes over the Bangalore case, it will immediately be able to pick up strands, what strands it has in different various states. And this NIA is being led by a very competent man, Dinkar Gupta, who was a Punjab DGP earlier. And therefore, it would be in the interest of Karnataka, I would say, if NIA takes over this case and there is a meaningful exchange.
But why do you think, Mr. Jha, that the ruling dispensation is so reluctant? Because it seems like they would be shown up as incompetent in this entire terror plot, which of course has been foiled, and thank God for small mercies. Do you think that is the reason? Vijay, I'll come to you.
That's a little unfortunate, and the politics of the day perhaps might prevent it. But in fact, it is in the interest of Karnataka, because Karnataka should get all the credit for busting this module.
Absolutely.
Yes,
yeah.
To develop this further, the NIA would take it over. NIA is an absolutely professional body, and what it will mean is that it will really help Karnataka again to keep a proper check over these kind of modules in future.
Right. Vijay, you wanted to say something?
Yeah.
Please.
See, there is a strong reason for asking for the NIA, because see, if you see these modules, these terror modules, these sleeper cells, they have a very organized way of dealing such things and planning activities. And see, if you look at the local police, they are more looking into the law and order situation within the state. So, as the former IB mentioned, it will be easy for the Congress government to hand over the case to NIA, so that there will be a professional people handling such cases. And we need to also look into the travel history of these people, where they have gone, where they have traveled, who have they trained, from whom have they got trained, where all they have traveled. They could have traveled a number of places. Even though they are absconding, it is easy since it's a porous border, they can travel anywhere across the country, outside the country, get trained, come back. So all those things can be done.
Right.
So it will be apt for the government to hand over, so that there is
Sure.
a concentrated effort in nabbing these people, in understanding and investigating, so that it can be eradicated,
Right,
or
Vijay.
it can be taken up in the butt itself.
Yeah. So, Mahesh, I'm coming to you. You heard Mr. Ramesh, you heard Mr. Jha, and even Vijay said this. All of them feel, the focus now seems to be on PFI. And, the thing is that, of course, like I asked Mr. Ramesh, that, those sleeper cells, residual, call it whatever, in different avatars, because these cells, what I know from reading, of course, is that they can change their avatar in like 2 hours. They change the name, they are gone. You never know a trace. But as a journalist, tell me something. Of course, it's great that Bengaluru is safe today and no terror attacks, the police could foil it. But do you think that you on and off keep hearing these cases? Like Bengaluru, we heard a case recently that person, I don't want to name him, but all of 28 years old, he was in an auto rickshaw, he was someone, he had connections with Bangladesh, and, of course, he had PFI connections. Although the organization is banned, Mahesh, do you think that it is still operative? You feel, do you hear this?
Yeah, definitely. I think just by banning one organization, the members or the affiliated members of that group will suddenly not vanish. They will come in some form or the other if if they have that intention. When it comes to NIA, when the BJP government was in power, they had given the Harsha murder case that took place in Shumaga, and Bangalore blast case, Praveen Nettar case that were handed over to the NIA. When NIA banned PFI, it mentioned that PFI was involved in Praveen Nettar case. That was one of the main reason why it must be banned.
Right.
In a
Right.
release given by the Home Minister, clearly mentioned it. So I think if the central forces take it over, it can have a larger pool of cases and connection where it can connect the dots.
Right. Mr. Ramesh, I want to ask you, considering that you know the lay of the land rather well, what are the challenges faced in, let's say, Karnataka as a whole, but Bengaluru particularly? What is it that makes it vulnerable? For instance, a lot of times we speak about porous borders, we speak about a lot of other factors, but what is it in Karnataka? Because if I don't want to really solve this jigsaw puzzle, but PFI was founded, when it was founded in 2006, it was with the merger of the Karnataka Forum for Dignity, KFD, and the National Development Front. So do you think that there is some connection with that? There is still a kind of a effort to kind of keep it alive, or there are other issues? As a senior police official, what do you think are the challenges faced by Karnataka, sir?
The challenges are twofold, Sudha. One is, I would say, they are generic problems, and then there are some specific problems specific to the geography of Karnataka and Bangalore. The generic problems are the radicalization, for which the government, both at the state and central level, have to come up with de-radicalization programs.
Okay.
These de-radicalization programs have been adopted in developed countries successfully, and the failure to do that has cost them heavily. We have seen examples. So for de-radicalization, there is the need for a budget, a strategy, and a long-term plan,
right,
so that the youth are not misguided. As you see, all these guys, 5 people arrested are under 30.
Yes.
And they are carried away. They can also be misguided. But it is important that we make sure that a big program of de-radicalization is undertaken. The second thing I would say is we should strengthen the police station. I'm coming to brass tacks. Our police station is the source or the fountainhead of all intelligence, all kinds of intelligence. You may have huge intelligence organizations in Bangalore and Delhi that faces multiple agencies, but police station has to be strengthened, provided with resources and infrastructure, so that they are in control of situation and they come to grips with these problems.
Right. Sorry, sir, I interjected, Mr. Ramesh, but yes, please, sir, go ahead before I go to
just
Mr. Jha.
Just a couple of points. Of course, the police has to be proactive. like in the present case. They cannot be reactive. Proactive policing always yields results.
Right.
So you can't wait for a situation to happen and then deal with it. So the culture of proactive policing has to be developed.
Right.
And then the intelligence has to be strengthened. These are very generic things.
Right. Mr. Jha, I want to ask you, if you look at all those young men on the screen, like Mr. Ramesh said, all in their, mid-20s, not even 30 years old, 28 max. I want to ask you before, I'm running out of time, but I want to ask you, Mr. Jha, is there a particular profile that fits all these young men? I don't want to judge them, but they said that they were very kind of self-effacing apparently. The neighbors said they would not buy groceries. Look at them. I don't know. I don't want to say anything, but I leave that to you, considering you've been a super cop. Is there a particular type, as it were?
Things are changing. Once after the high-tech policing has been introduced, we are finding that even the most educated fall prey to radicalization. Okay. And even those who are unemployed, who are youngsters at the same profile, is extremely vulnerable also to radicalization and also to activities. But mind you, Sudha, I would still hesitate to call them terrorists as yet. Because, it has to be revealed why they were making these grenades. Why were those homemade guns over there? They were not sophisticated weapons. What is it for? Is it for sale to mining areas, or is it to, for committing any acts, etc.? So, but this profile fits in as a vulnerable youth which can fall prey to radicalization, which can fall prey to crime or fall prey to any activities of the handlers from above.
Right. Vijay, I have only 1 minute.
Yes.
So if you can...
one thing I question both Yashovardhan and S.T. Ramesh sir, why should they not be branded as terrorists? See, by dealing with terrorists, we have to be really brutal, no mercy to be shown. What is more shocking is the Home Minister, Mr. Parmeshwar, is reluctant to brand them as terrorists. See, we can know the intentions, we can know the kind of weapons that has been confiscated now, weapons have been seized, and the live grenades, the live bullets, and the pistols. If you see the intentions of them, I think it is not for them to be used in the mining, sir. I think it is to be. I think these people are waging a war against the country. And I think the government in the discussion has to be very brutal.
Right. Now, Mr. Ramesh, would you like to? I've just got 30 seconds, but I'm sorry, I'm preempting you, Mr. Ramesh, but unless someone is proven, guilty, every person is innocent. Is that why that, most policemen do not label people as terrorists or militants or anything which could be later they have to go back on?
Yeah, we shouldn't be hasty. The policemen are seasoned people. They do this job every day in and day out, and they wouldn't like to label people. The circumstances in which these 5 people have been arrested is highly suspicious, and there are weapons seized, there are ammunition, there are walkie-talkie, etc. These are highly suspicious. But then we should take the investigation forward before we have to take the investigation forward before coming to a firm conclusion. We should not jump the gun. We are professionals, so we can't be hasty in labeling people.
But of course, today, thank God, all of us do agree that a major terror plot was averted due to the smartness of the police and of course the intelligence, Karnataka intelligence division, as it were. So nothing that we could sit here and really feel sad, bad, ashamed about. But as of now, thank you so much. Let me thank everybody. Yashovardhan Jha, many thanks. Vijay, thank you very much. Mr. Ramesh, it was such a pleasure to have you on the show. And my colleague Mahesh, thank you as always. Thank you indeed.
Thank you. Thank you, Sudha.
So there you have it. Unless they are proven guilty, they are not going to be branded as terrorists. But as of now, the good news, like I said, is a major terror plot was averted in Bengaluru. But for all the news and analysis, of course, this is your destination. But for news from the south of India, every weekday at 5 o'clock, We meet. My name is Sudha Sadanand. Vanakkam.
BrahMos. Stealthy, lethal, precise. It flies at 3 times the speed of sound and cuts through a warship like a hot